All right, welcome to this video and tour of my book planning template in the Notion planning app. If you are not familiar with Notion, then I have a Notion tour on my YouTube channel, which if you are on YouTube at the moment is linked in the description. But if you've come to this video through the welcome email series on my mailing list, then that will be linked in the PS section of the email that you are currently in watching this video. So without further ado, let's just jump into this tour of the template, because then I can talk about all the cool parts and why they work for my brain, why they might work for yours, and how you can customize it to either fiction or non-fiction. And also why I use Notion for this in the first place, because I think it will make a lot more sense if we do it while we're looking at the template. And then that if you are clicked and looking at it at the moment, it will show you how to use the different sections as well. So without further ado, let's jump in. Okay, cool. Here we have my Notion book template. If you've used Notion before, then you know that the menu is off over on the left-hand side here, but I just have some sensitive information there about my clients and my business. So I've just chopped that out, but it won't affect you being able to see and use what's in here. So let's jump in straight away. I have my manuscript at the top. So this is actually like a big part of the reason that I decided to use Notion for my writing work, is because I'm someone who, if I have my big long manuscript in one place, I tend to spend more time editing than I do actually writing. So I'll have like an initial burst, and I've done this with a few different projects. I'll have like an initial burst of like 25,000 words that will come out over like 2 or 3 days. And then I will hit a snag. And so instead of working through that and being okay with writing like really crap for like a few chapters before I find my flow again, I will meticulously re-edit those 25,000 words, and I'll do it every single time I open up the document, so that by the time I get back to the bottom, even if it was just the previous 2,000 words, I'm in editor brain, not in writer brain, so then it becomes even harder to keep writing. So to help with that, I've separated all of this into chapter 1, chapter 2, I put this here because to show that if you're someone who doesn't write chronologically, you don't have to write chronologically, and you can actually drag these around in the timeline. So it's kind of like, if you did the method where you wrote everything out on a note card and laid it down on the ground and land them all out, you can literally do that with this section here. I can create a new one here if I want to, and it's going to pop up and I can drag it around and put it wherever I want. So if you have an idea for something later in the book, then that's fine. Open it up, type it out, get it out of your brain, and then it's sitting there waiting to be inserted into the manuscript wherever you want. And then once I've finished writing in here, I'll copy it and I'll edit in a completely different document, so that I know when I come into this template and I open up this chapter, I am in writing mode. And as a side note, I tend to write in dark mode as well, so I can turn it being white background into a black background, which is really helpful for me sometimes as well, because I don't know what it is. You guys probably might be the same, like blank page I associate with white. So if the screen is black and I'm typing in white letters, then it gets me around that blank page kind of fear. So yeah, that's the manuscript section, and I put it at the top also because if I open it up and scroll into all of my planning stuff, which I have down here, and we'll go through in a moment, I will do that instead of writing. So it's just a way of tricking my brain to get into creative writing mode and getting rid of all those roadblocks so that I actually get in and write. After that, we have this part here. So this part is like multi-purpose, and I could probably put a bit more detail in there, but I wanted to keep all of this as simple as possible, because I just feel like if it's too complicated or too complex, then it makes it harder for you to customize to how you want to use it. And I'm someone, like, my whole system is built off of the templates of Michelle B. She doesn't have a book writing one. This is the one that I made myself, but my actual planning system is made from her. So I'll link her channel in my description as well. So I bought her Notion templates, but then I built everything out myself and re-changed it and jigged it it actually doesn't look anything like hers anymore, because I had to start with a system that someone else had made and work out what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. And I feel like Notion, you kind of get like a blank page fear when you open up the system on your own and are trying to learn it. So that's something else that I talk about in my like full Notion system tour. So once again, that video is linked in the description. But anyway, that was one of my tangents. If you watched any of my Instagrams or anything like that, then you know anything that I've done on Instagram, then you know I tend to go off on tangents. But let's come back to it. I've kept it nice and simple to make it easy for you to adjust and change and customize to yourself. But basically, when I first think of my book idea, I will brain dump all of my ideas into this section. Adam was in here and we were talking about this last night, and he was saying that you could even brain dump everything into this one section, and then so that it didn't distract you while you were working on like the next one, you could do this one. So I just duplicated that twice to show that you can do that, because I can write something under here, and I can then open this up and drag this in here. So it means that I can brain dump any way that I want, and I can organize it any way that I want. Once again, if you need a full Notion tutorial and you're not super familiar with it, there's so many on YouTube. Like it's a real hot topic at the moment, but I've been using Notion for over a year now, and I tried so many other systems, Asana, what's the one that starts with T? I don't know. Asana was the big one that a lot of people were using when I first started looking, and Toggle, no. Anyway, sorry, I digress. I drop all of my book ideas in here, so I actually have like a database of my writing projects, and I have like multiple projects in here at the same time. But this is the template here, and yeah, I will create a new one for each idea I have for each different book, but then I also use this section to like work on my blurb or like my hooks, or like brainstorming ideas for like comp titles and things like that. That will all go in here. And for example, with the trilogy that I'm working on at the moment, I have the working titles for books 2 and 3 in the trilogy that I'm writing. So everything kind of related to like creativity and ideas goes in like this section. And also like if you're working on like a synopsis or something to send to agents when you're querying and things like that, that all kind of goes in that section, and I can use toggles to organize it. Down here we have the research section. So usually in this part here, I will just jot down things that I need to research. And then if I find cool sources, I'll put them in here, but then all of the notes will actually go into, once again, another sort of database. And that way I can keep all of my notes. So for example, with my fantasy trilogy that I'm writing, it's heavily influenced by Middle Eastern culture and Central African cultures. So I tend to keep all of my research kind of down here, because I want to do them justice and portray them accurately and not twist anything. So I have all of that research down in here, and then I use that to color my fantasy worlds. And then that way I can have a source list at the end of my books as well, because then it's kept all that here. So that's really helpful for non-fiction as well. So once again, with non-fiction, it's a bit more formulaic when you're writing it, depending what it is. But if you're writing narrative memoir, it would be very similar to planning out a fiction book in a lot of ways. So that can work really well in all of this as well. So with memoirs, if you are, for example, writing about your childhood versus your adulthood and crossing timelines and things like that, you could brain dump all of that information into this book idea overview teaser section. Like, it's got lots of slashes there because you can call it what you want to call it and use it how you want to use it. But I've just created a template to give you a jumping off place. And then any research that you needed to do, or like photos and things like that, like you can embed images in here. So you just put the / and you type in image, and that you can upload an image in there from your file, or you can use stock photos if you find them inspiring, just to kind of customize it and make it really visual, because I know it's quite blank at the moment. but you can make it look really colorful and fun, and I will include a link in the description as well of ways that people have used pictures and images to make their Notion more personalized and fun to look at. So then down underneath the research section, we have the plot and character section and overview. So basically this is again another version, it's another type of database, and I can move these around. So I can brain dump in here like plot points that need doing. So love scene act 1, and then, or love scene, and then I can decide that I want that to go into act 1, and I can move this around here like this. So again, that can work with nonfiction as well, because you can change these from acts to sections. So for example, if you were writing a self-help book, then you would have your introductory sections where you were building up, talking about the different issues, and then you would talk about how these issues affect, and then resolutions and skills that you can go away with. Or like you could have each section of the book would have like a main story that you're following and like an exercise and things like that. Like I'm not writing anything that formulaic at the moment. I have in the past, and I'd used this system and it was really helpful. So I do ghostwriting, so I can't tell you what the projects were because I'm not officially the author, but I have worked with people on projects like that before. So I use this system to plan that. Down here we have the characters, so I will put names and like any notes I want to make about the characters. So if you're someone who likes to do the deep dive into the characters, write massive backstories and things like that, but they don't go into your actual manuscript, then you can open this up as a page and type all of that stuff in here as well. You can have headings, name, and then you can write names and things like that. So it's really powerful. Everything can be linked up, and you can put what is here as well. So if I open that one back up again, in here we've got character, place, religion, magic element. Like it just kind of puts all of that information, because I don't know about you, but I always forget all of my coolest ideas. They appear in my brain. I'm like, yes, amazing. I love that. I'm going to use that. I sit down to write about it and it's disappeared. So this just gives me a section to put all of that information when I'm not using it, so that then when I come to where I'm using it in the story, or if I haven't found a place in the story that I want it to go yet and I don't want to mess up my manuscript, it can just go down here in the characters list. And once again, that can be the same for nonfiction. You can have notes here based on like different ideas that you're talking about, or different sources, or things that you think might influence your writing but might not be part of research. It's just something that's hanging around in your brain that you need to get out. You can go down here as well. So yeah, that's the template. It's really easy. Like I said, it's just a jumping off point for you to then customize yourself. So if you're not familiar with Notion or haven't started using it yet, then I really encourage you to check out my tour video that I have in my YouTube channel. It's in the description of this video, or if you're looking at this from my mailing list, then it is in the PS section. So I hope you enjoyed this tour of this. That's really articulate, Danica. I'm just going to jump to full screen again. One moment. Cool. So if this looks like something that you would be interested in using, then I really encourage you to sign up to my mailing list, because that is where I deliver the link to this template. I don't just have it for everyone to use, because I don't necessarily feel like it's of interest to everyone, so I haven't made it public. But if you are interested, it is delivered in email 4 or 5 of my welcome email series. So jump on in there. That will come to you in the next few days, and we'll also get to keep in touch. And if there's any updates or anything to this template that you think might need to be done, then you can just send me an email as well. That it will also be possible once you've received your welcome email after signing up to my mailing list. So if you found this video by being on my mailing list, thank you so much for your support. I really hope you enjoy this template, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you think of it. So yeah, all the best, enjoy the template, and I will talk to you in my next video.